Hey, I appreciate you joining this quick session on taking a peek at different cybersecurity certifications in the industrial or OT cybersecurity space, which is a really popular topic because a lot of people look to certifications to help get them a job or to demonstrate their expertise to help get clients in the space. And certifications can definitely help you do that. And it's important to look to those certifications that the industry is aware of. And the industry really has, I guess, given their stamp of approval to those certifications. You don't want to go down a rabbit hole or waste a lot of time on a certification that no one's ever heard of because while they might have a lot of great knowledge, and if you're there just for the knowledge, that's awesome, go do it. But at the same time, there's all these other benefits that we started talking about, like driving, not only knowledge, but that industry recognition, proving your knowledge, gaining a new job or a new role or a new client. So you want to invest the time and resources, including money, into getting those industry recognized certifications. And so I want to take again a couple minutes to talk about the main ones that are out there. And so there's really the two big series that I'm familiar with. And this is just my time in the industry and looking at, and this comes from someone who lives and works out of the United States. Now, there are other certifications that are popping up around the world in different regions. So there could be something that's maybe a better fit for you depending on where in the world you live. I work at a global organization. So I work with thousands of engineers just within our own company and see the certifications. And again, that's part of what I brought into this conversation. So I want to jump into really the big one that we see. I think that's the most widely accepted in ICS and OT is the what they call the Cybersecurity Expert series from ISA or IEC, right? The folks that created the 62443 cybersecurity standard, right? The gold standard in how to build a cybersecurity management program for our industrial control environments, for our OT networks. So there's actually four exams slash courses in the series. You have to take a course. So you have to pay for the course and take it before they're going to let you take the associated certification exam, which some people like, some people don't. We don't have a choice right now. If I remember right, if you are an ISA member, and I suggest you sign up for being an ISA member because the money you'll save, I think it's like 150 US dollars. You'll save that and more on each of the classes. So you're going to save a significant amount over the course of four classes. If I remember right, when I took this class not too long ago, within the last couple of years, I think it was about 1,200 US dollars. I think they've increased slightly since then, but that's probably about what they cost around that range. So they're considered more relatively affordable than some of the other training out there, like compared to SANS, which we're going to talk about next. But there's the first level, what they call the fundamental specialist, right? So this is kind of like Security Plus, if you're familiar. It's the general, you have the basic information about how cybersecurity works in a control system environment. And I would say, it's more of an introduction to the ISA, IEC 62443 standard and some basic high-level cybersecurity uh, fundamentals. Most definitely, but it's not even close to the amount of information that you would look to for Security Plus, right? But the idea is just to get you started down that path. Now, I will say that these courses are much more structured for people coming from the industrial control world, like engineers, automation professionals. It's most of the knowledge you're going to pick up if you're coming from the IT cybersecurity space. If you've been around for a couple of years, if you have your Security Plus, you already have this knowledge. So sometimes it can be seen as a waste for folks coming from the IT side, that they're wasting the money, even if they're pursuing the certification. But so there's the fundamentals, and then there's these three other courses. So you can see there's a risk assessment specialist, there's a design specialist, and a maintenance specialist. I think the idea is that each of the other courses is supposed to focus on different parts of the 62443 series. So you're digging into the standard, understanding what it is. And so that's probably about a third of the course. And then the other two-thirds, you're looking at different aspects of cybersecurity and how they're implemented in OT. Again, I think for the most part, if you're coming from an IT cybersecurity perspective, most of what you're going to be learning, you already know it, the vast majority of the time. And if you're coming from the ICS or OT side, it could be very new to you. So again, I think these courses are more designed for people coming from the ICS side rather than the IT side, which that's perfectly fine. It's just be aware. So again, if you're coming from the IT side, these tests are going to be fairly easy. If you have a couple years experience, you have your Security Plus, especially if you have your CISSP, but you still need to learn the fundamentals about 62443. And I think that's a good part of the courses, and then also where they get you some hands-on experience in the labs with some tools that you're not familiar with from the IT side, like ICS or OT specific firewalls. So if you're looking at a Modbus firewall, that might not be something that you've seen before. So there are some great points to the courses. And then when you complete all four courses and all four exams, you become what they call an ISA IEC 62443 Cybersecurity Expert. I hate I hate the name, and I hate when people, especially, just call themselves experts. But that's a whole other story. But these courses and this certification does not make you an expert in any stretch of the imagination. It gives you a good fundamental understanding, kind of to start, right, the rest of your cybersecurity career in ISA IEC. And it's the most widely accepted. A lot of people might see it as the CISSP of the ICS world. Again, it's not. It's more like, to me, it's more like Security Plus. And you still have a lot of work and a lot of learning and a lot of experience to gain once you have the ISA 62443 expert. I have this. I've gone through all the classes. I've done, aced all the exams. But you're not an expert. I hate to say, by going through these courses. I would say you're not even an expert in ISA 62443. There's a lot more in 62443 that's not covered in the courses, especially from a practical implementation standpoint. So I'll move on, but just to kind of recap, some of the main points is that, this certification path is the one that most people will recognize across the board because they recognize ISA, they recognize IEC, they see 62443, and they know that's the gold standard people follow for securing industrial control environments. So if you have that certification, they automatically map that inside their mind to, oh, they know exactly how to secure our environment. Again, maybe not, but again, it's a good starting point. And I mentioned it's relatively affordable. So even if the courses, let's say, are up to maybe $2,000 today, for a lot of people, again, that's more affordable than a SANS course, which is $10,000 these days. So, and we'll talk with the exam, but we'll talk about that in a second. So it's a great approach, especially if you're looking for the one that's most economical. And again, you do learn a lot. I'm not trying to say you don't. Just don't come out of that course or get the certification thinking you're an expert. I have the expert certification. It does not make me an expert in 62443 or ICS security. So and don't forget, if you are going to take the courses, make sure you're an ISA member because you'll save the money on the courses, and I think it'll probably maybe save you just about the cost of one of the courses or almost one of the courses. So buy three get one free basically, if you remember. So again, it's a great course, especially if you're coming from the ICS world, if you're an engineer, automation team member. But if you're coming from the IT side, a lot of it's going to be boring. So just kind of be prepared. Now, SANS, we mentioned, I love SANS. And disclaimer, I've been going to SANS courses for 20 plus years. I've been very fortunate to work for organizations that will cover the cost of me to go to SANS. And I think SANS has a lot of incredible instructors, a lot of incredible courses. Some maybe not so much, but as far as courses. And in the industrial control space, there's three certifications, and they're working on some more, and there are more classes. Just there are other classes that don't have mapped certifications, which is interesting because that's kind of new for SANS. But with GICSP, that's the entry level certification to the for SANS for ICS. And so it's a great introduction. And the way they've written it, like a lot of courses, I think that are the intro course, kind of like the one I do for free online, is the idea that it's written for both IT and and ICS OT folks. So you get, and it's exciting when you get both groups of people in the same room, right? Or in the same Discord channel, in the same class, and they're talking to each other, because that's really how we really can only secure our environments. We need ICS and OT and IT to work together. And if we're not securing our entire environment. It's as easy as that. So we have to work together. So I love it when we have these classes that bring people together from both sides of the house, OT and IT, and allow us to work together, to learn together, to realize, hey, I'm coming from IT. I don't know what a PLC or an HMI is, or I'm coming from the OT side and I don't know what maybe host-based intrusion detection and network-based intrusion detection mean. Right. Well, but we can learn together. So by the time you come through the end of that experience, you have not only a good understanding of these fundamentals of ICS and OT, which is all great, but for me, the selling point really was I was in a room with engineers and I could see things from their perspective. And that was really I think the amazing part of the experience for me. So GICSP is a great course. Now this is one, with the SANS courses, you don't have to take a course to take the certification exam, which those alone are like $800 a day today. So I have seen, especially for people coming from an ICS OT background, they know probably most of the material, or can pick up rather quickly the rest of the material from the IT side in GICSP. So they're going and taking and passing the certification exam without spending the $8,000 on the course, or almost 9,000 probably at the moment. So I think that's great if individuals can do that and save the money. I'm going to stop quickly, jump to the last one real quick, because GCIP, when they talk about critical infrastructure protection, really what this is, it's a class built by Tim Conway. So incredible, not only instructor, but person with incredible background in cybersecurity and industrial control environments, like when the Ukraine blackouts happened in 2015 and 2016 and maybe 2017, right? He was there, right? He was boots on the ground, for the U.S. government, helping Ukrenegro and the folks in the energy space there in the Ukraine look into the issue and determine what was going on. But so this course that he wrote is focused on the NERC standard, the regulations for power in North America. So if you work in power in North America and you have to worry about NERC compliance, then this course is for you. It's one, though, and honestly, it's a class that learns how to build a NERC program, to audit a NERC program, measure your maturity in a power plant, let's say, if you're in North America. But you're not going to learn truly how to defend the environment. You're not going to learn or learn really what industrial controls are. That's GICSP. If you want to learn how to defend industrial control environments, that's the grid course. And this is the one that I took with Rob Lee, which I would pay $10,000 to. I would save every penny I had for as long as it would take for me to go take this class, because it was that instrumental in really boosting my ICS OT skills, my interest and my passion in the field. And I mean, it was just an amazing, amazing course with an amazing instructor. Again, and nothing against the others, but when coming across Rob Lee, it was very transparent about his background, coming from the NSA, as a nation state attacker slash defender. And then as he transitioned into his role founding Dragos, the world leader, at least from a US perspective, in industrial control cybersecurity. And he still teaches these classes a couple times a year. And there's some other great instructors that cover this course. But I would say if you're going to especially spend that much money on the course, make sure you take it with Rob. And when I took it, it couldn't have been better timing. It was right at the same time as Trident Trisis was happening. And so we were getting this play-by-play of a little bit behind the scenes of what was going on, because the Dragos team was there responding in the Middle East to this advanced nation state attack. And so it was very interesting. You just learn a ton, but just by being in the classroom with Rob, if you can do it live, being able just to ask him questions as they come up, get his feedback. It's well worth that investment. I know $10,000 is a lot of money, especially if in other parts of the world where $10,000 is an astronomical amount of money. I completely understand. But again, it's the one course I would ever consider spending so much money on, to the point where I'm even thinking about taking it again, because they've redone it considerably, especially with the labs over the last 7 or 8 years since I took it. But I digress, right? The main focus is with the grid course is understanding how to defend control system environments. And Rob makes this concept that people seem to think is very complex or complicated or both, really simplifies it, and really it boils it down to where he says defense is doable, and he shows you how in that week. And it's just amazing. And that's really what we want to get to the heart at when we talk about cybersecurity, right? In industrial environments, right? We're talking about how do we defend these environments against the attacks, the number of the attacks and the attackers, the types of attackers out there. It's only growing every day. How do we defend our environments? So SANS certifications are incredible, right? They're very industry recognized. They are, widely snapped up, especially again, grid would always be my main focus if I was hiring somebody for the team. But the cost is astronomical. I get it. Again, I'm very thankful that I've worked for organizations over time that pay for SANS courses for me. But I was just having a conversation last night at a dinner with someone talking about, in the U.S. the average training budget I think is $4,000 to $5,000 per employee per year, right? That's kind of the general consensus I get, and you have to save up to almost 3 years to be able to go to one SANS course. So it's excuse me, it's a struggle, right? So even then, again, if you're fortunate to be able to go to a course, I mean, these are great. They're great for anybody, but especially if you're coming from the IT side of the house, it's really designed to help you understand not only the basics of cybersecurity, but again to think and learn like an engineer. But Grid is definitely the one I would suggest course that anybody take, no matter if you're from IT or ICS. But if you want to truly learn how to defend our environments, and that defense is doable, and it doesn't have to be complex, and it doesn't have to be complicated, that's the course for you. So those are the big two: ISA, right, and then SANS. And I just realized the slide is mislabeled, so I'm not going to go back and change that. So you have SANS there. And then we have other certifications, right? So I don't personally have any personal experience with, that makes sense, with either of these, other than I know a lot of the engineers where I work, we're one of the largest engineering shops in the world. Some of the engineers that they have a cybersecurity certification that they've got through the engineering world, it's ICSA. So you see that again, mostly North America, US based. And then there's a more recent one that's come out of Germany called, I think, TÜV or TÜV, probably, but they seem to have a great lineup, very affordable, like Exida is much more affordable. And so these are definitely alternatives if you're looking for more affordable options. I just don't have any personal experience. I'm trying to work on changing that so I can talk about these in my work and sharing with everybody like we're doing, like I'm sharing with you in this video. But definitely check those out. So Exida and Tuv, there. One day I'll learn how it's supposed to be pronounced. It definitely seem to be widely accepted other options that are out there. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to you for coming and again taking the time to listen to me ramble on about ICS OT cybersecurity certifications. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to reach out anytime. There's my email address, or you can find me at LinkedIn.com. Right, I'm at Mike Holcomb, and you can of course post in the comments on the video. So thank you again.